and welcome. You are listening to At Home with Ifenu. Here, we'll talk about helping women know and understand their worth, find fulfillment in who they are, and in what they do. Every other week, we'll talk about your identity as a woman, discovering your unique purpose, intentionally raising the next generation, and your influence in homemaking. I am your host, Ifoma Neka Omoni.
Hello, and welcome to At Home with Ifeno. How are you today? Wow. Every day, the time is ticking. How are you making the most of your time? You know, we always want to push ahead or try to postpone what we are supposed to do today. But today and this very moment is what we are guaranteed of. Today is the day that you can say, okay, I am alive, I am well. You might not be comfortable or things might not be going as you expect, but as long as you have the breath of life in you, today is a great day for you to make that move. So I welcome you to At Home with Ifeno today and say, get up and show up wherever you have to be. Are you on your way to work? Are you at home with your family, your children, or you are at your business place trying to make deals and do one thing or the other? Wherever you are, I want to greet you specially and I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the day it is, wherever you are in the world. You know, I like the way we can connect with each other from any part of the world today. Thank God for technology. Thank God for the internet. So we are borderless, no barriers, no limits. We can connect with anybody in any part of the world. And that's why At Home with Ifeno is really special to me, because I connect with a lot of guests from different parts of the world. That's the beauty of this internet and social media and this global village that we have found ourselves in. Today is an interesting day for me because I have a special guest. Yes, he is a VIP. Anytime I have, the male guest on my show, I'm very happy because I see them as very supportive, encouraging us to make us know that we are adding value and that my platform or this platform is not just about the women. We need the men. There's no how a home can be complete without a man in that house. So when my male guest comes, I need to welcome them specially. So I want you to give my guest, his name is Mr. Oluwaseyi Akinsola. Please, let's give him a warm At Home with Ifeno welcome. You are welcome, sir. How are you today?
I'm fine. I'm good. I'm doing well.
Wow.
Thank you.
We are privileged to have you on our platform today. Thank you for accepting our invitation and coming. And we know that we are going to glean a lot of wisdom from you. Mr. Sheyi is a very, very passionate person in terms of encouraging men, young men, fathers, husbands. He's so passionate. I met him even on my podcast journey, and he's here today to share with us the things that God has put in his heart that will help not just women, but even the men in our homes, so that our nation and our lives will get better. So, like I said, sir, you are welcome and we are delighted to have you. Before we go into today's discussion, our men, they work very, very hard. Very, very hard. And we really appreciate all the efforts you people put in to make sure that our homes are doing very well. Could you just share with us how you relax after a hard day's job? Or maybe you might not have time during the week. During your weekends, how do you, relax and ease the tension? Could you share some of your relaxation tips with our listeners today, so that they'll know that the men too, they rest,
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
sir.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for this opportunity, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate. How do I rest? I rest most times by listening to music and just having a time alone. Yeah, and that's
Okay.
mostly on weekends, and after playing with the children up and down, when that's during the day they are very energetic, because during the week I don't have that time. I don't really spend much time with them. So it's on weekend that we get to do everything together, just get to play and all of that. So probably when in the evening, and when they are probably about to go to bed, sometimes I just try to just get some me time and just listening to some music, and sometimes just read some books and just take that time to just go in. Sometimes I just would not do anything and just sit down and just reflect and just go in. And by that, it's a way to reflect, to rest for me.
Wow, I took note of what Mr. Sheyi said. He said sometimes you don't need to do anything to relax. So you just need to, just reflect, not worry. No, there's a way you think. No, it's just reflect, ponder, and in that state, you could start connecting the dots or some things, and God could inspire you into something you never imagined. Thank you so much, sir. I also remember you saying that you have time for the children, which is very, very key, and I appreciate that you do that. So no matter how busy our fathers are, they need to create that time for the children, for their wives, so that the connection will be there. Thank you so much, sir. So our topic for today is the role of the home in nation building. The role of the home in nation building. We know that the nation is made up of different families, different homes, because every one of us came from a home. So in your own words, I know that there's a general knowledge of what people call home, or how people describe home, and how people describe a nation. But in your own words, on our platform today, what will you describe as a home, and what will you also describe as a nation? So it's a 2-in-1 question, sir.
All right. No problem. I would say to me, or for me, a home is where you're processed as a being. And these are my words, everybody has a play. Everything we see on earth has somewhere a manufacturing plant, as where they've being manufactured before they could be presented to the world. So for we humans, the home front, the home is where is the manufacturing plant for us, because that is where we are born into. That is when every one of us come as an infant, we come as a baby, and we come into a home. So that's where it's from then onward that the work begins to happen. Just like the cars that we ride today, each of the the brand we see, Mercedes, BM, they all have plants. And it is from that plant that each of the vehicles we see were being built from a very little stage. So they had many things we see, all the things that makes it all dazzling and glazzling, they added it at the home front, so that when they could present it to you and I, we loved it. We want to spend a fortune to get them. Many of us will save to get them, but they were they were built and assembled and processed in a place which was their home. And for us humans, the home is where that happens to us. And the nation, nation to me is like the society, is where we go to, where we interact with one another. It involves the creation and development of a cohesive and prosperous society. That is what a nation is to me.
Wow. I really like how you described the home. You said the home is a manufacturing plant, an assembling place. I can't forget that. So it's a place where you find the different parts, in pieces. They might not look like it at the beginning. It's just like a puzzle, and that it is in the home that we now start fitting in things together, shaping, making sure that every part of the family is in shape before we release ourselves to the society, to the nation, where we now interact with other people. Thank you so much for that definition. And so we go to the next question. So with your definition of the home being the manufacturing plant, assembling place, before we can now release those products to the nation, what will you now say is the critical role that the home plays in nation building?
All right. Excuse me. The home plays a lot. And I would like to use an analogy. I use analogy a lot so that people can relate with it. And the analogy I would like to use is, is football teams. Football teams as a feeder. They have a feeder teams. Do you understand? The feeder team is what supplies the main team, the main, the senior team that goes and competes and contests, But the feeder team is where things are being built. And each and every one of us, we are from a home. We belong to a home. And a home is the feeder for the society, for the society and for the nation. So the role the home plays is, if the player, going by my analogy, if the player is not well drilled, if the player has not been well built up, if the player has not been well, looked after at the feeders team, it's going to tell when it gets to the senior team. And it's going to show when it gets there. So the role of the home in the society, in the nation building, is that there are many things that we get to learn from home. And that's why when many people go out, they reflect how the home is. It's like a feedback of as a parent, as a father or mother, when they go back and come, is a feedback of a report card of what you've done thus far. Just as, when a player comes from a feeder team to the senior team, it is not that good. It's a feedback of what he has been doing in the feeders team. And there are many attributes to this, because everybody has a part to play in it. The coach has his part to play. The player itself has his part to play. The colleagues in the feeder team has their part to play. So everyone has their part to play, just like in a home. So, in the home, the father has his part to play, the mother has his part to play, the child has his part to play. Everything coming together is what, becomes a whole, person, a whole child, a whole adult that goes into the nation and represents well. So the home is so critical to the nation building, or to the result, because it is the end result that gets to the nation. It is the end result that, and it's in everywhere. So everyone is a representative of a home. Everyone is a representative of a home. Now their character, what they do, now shows what they have. It now shows the result of how the home has been. So most times, most times you get to see, you get to see, okay, as this person be thorough, this person be thorough, and some people to nothing of their own fault. Some comes from, they are being raised from a single, by a single mom. Life will happen. Many things happen in the mix. But some of the people that come from some of these homes, they try to do, they do much more than others. But notwithstanding, they take that responsibility to say, you know what, I've been born, so I really need to work on myself. Or some people, they look back and see, okay, this is where I'm coming from, or my parents, my father and mother, what I'm seeing them do, I don't want to replicate it. So some people take on, they take it upon themselves to say, you know what, I want to change this. And say this, that, one of the things about the home is that, the home is a place that what we are taught, or, some things are taught in the home, and some things are caught in the home. So not everything is taught in the home. Some things are just caught, and that's why I would like to, for leaders of the home, We need to be able to exemplify, because it's not until we say it, our children are watching and looking. And it's hard to change a child that learns something from his or her parents.
Wow.
Let me agree.
Wow. Feedback of your training is reflected in the society. So whatever we are complaining about in our nation, in our country, is a reflection of what is going on in our homes. That's the simple thing Mr. Seyi has been trying to explain to us, using the football team, the feeder. By force, I have to understand football today. But it was really explanatory and very, very clear, very pictorial. Thank you very much for your response. So the next question is, with all you have said, about how we have been trained, whatever training we have gotten, and then you also added that even if our parents, didn't do as, maybe they did what they could or what they knew, when we grow up, we have that responsibility to improve on ourselves, to change whatever we saw was not right, so that it's not as if we are, the blame game thing. So my next question is, why do we as a society or as a people pay less attention to this family life? You've been talking about all of us coming from homes. Everybody knows that. But from my own observation, I find out that, when it comes to family affairs, the main thing that is many couples focus, both father and mother, is that, everything is, it boils down to, okay, I need to provide financially, I need to make sure that they have good schools, eat well, good clothes, which is not wrong, it's very important. But why do we now tend to pay more attention to things like, our career advancement, which is not right? I just need to see that balance, because I might be wrong, and I'm happy that at least you are a father and a husband. So maybe you are going to change my paradigm when I listen to you, because I just find out that most people don't pay attention to family life, as in the nitty-gritties, beyond just providing. You see us parents always saying, I'm busy, I'm providing, I'm going, and there are some little things, that we need to still do back at home that will help to bring out that desired product or person that will make the society a better place. Why do you think that we don't take our family life more intentional and seriously?
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for that question. And I would say the reasons, number one is because of the state of the nation. Number two is because we are consumed by the present. And number three is because we are not thinking about how tomorrow will be. So we are just about, which is, like you said, it's not wrong in itself.
Yes.
It's needed, it's important, is so needed, that the provision is there. And again, it's because we want to be somebody in life. But one thing that, strike across all this is the balance. Because see, the time we don't have now, we'll have it later. But then there will be no children to expend it on. What do I mean? There's no way, in many countries now, the retirement age is 65. So whether you like it or not, even if you don't want to, you'll be forced to retire. And when you retire, you have more time in your hands. But then will now be when you're like, I've dropped the ball before getting here. Because, the time now I have the time. I don't know, even the children doesn't want to spend time with you anymore.
Yeah.
Because they now have their life. They've been able to figure things out. And what happened is that as I was thinking about this, it's about, like an analogy about when you want to put something in a freezer, it's in a fluid state first. So when it's in a fluid state, you can do many things about it. You can reduce the water, you can change it, you can add one or two things to it. Do you understand? Or when you put it in the freezer, it takes the form of what you put in it in the fluid state. Then it becomes solid. It's not that when it's solid, it's hard for you to make a change to it when it's solid. And when it's not solid, you need to take time for it to melt, and it takes longer time. So what we don't get to do when it's in a fluid state, the time we don't give our children when they are still very fluid, when things can still, change here and there, when they now become solid, because whether we like it or not, our children would grow. Someone once said something to me that you are a parent for life, but parenting is not for life.
It's true.
Do you understand? So time is coming that these children that you can order around now, the best you can do is to give advice.
Yeah.
The best you can do is, God help me, God bless you. It's like, I've said mine, do. But what we now need to do is put that thing that, the good morals, the things that will navigate them in life, instill it in them so that even by themselves, they can make those good decisions. And that's why many people, when they look back, they either pray for their parents or they say otherwise to them. Or what we are trying to say now that, I'm trying to fend for my children, they'll be like, after that, they want more. Do you understand? So it's not, so providing for our children or for our loved ones is not it's not an end in itself. Because even those same people that needs that provision, that needs that protection, they need our presence. They want to play with us. They want you. They want to relate with you. They want to care for you. They want to be there for you. And if you're not there in person, if you're not present, because there's another thing again, you can be in a place and yet you're not present. Do you understand? So some people, they're like, I'm at home, I'm present, but their presence is not felt. And all of this is a build-up, and it's for our future. It's for our legacy. So if we don't begin to build it now, and whilst I'm saying all this, it's not that we should abandon our job and probably stay at home. The little time, quality over quantity. But one thing that this happen is we have it in mind, and we know that it's important to us, because if it's important to us, we'll look for ways to make it happen. Do you understand? As long as we are pursuing our career, as long as we are pursuing our goals in life, we are pursuing to be relevant, we are pursuing our purpose, we won't have that time all the time to do this. So we need to pour into people that will carry our legacy on, and that's our children. And that's why God has made us a caretaker of them, because whatever we do with them now is what will show up later. Now, as I am now, that my dad could really say, over some issues of, he may not even get aware, but if it's aware, all he can say is suggestion. Why not look at it this way? Why not do this and that? Because he knows that I'm in a point whereby I can make decisions by myself.
Yeah.
There was a point in time that he would tell me categorically, this is what I want you to do, and this is what you have to do. But that is not the thing anymore now. Do you understand? So and for us we'll get there. And know this would help us to live right, and know that we should maximize, depending on the stage or the stage where our children is. Because there are different stages, and maximizing each stage. When they are toddlers, when they are infants, we need to invest more time. And that's why some organizations are they're more fluid about these things now. They're flexible. Do you understand? Some, they want you to work from home because you have parents. There's a lady I know that when the children are on holiday, she doesn't go to work, because that was from the onset. So as much as it's paramount to others, then they'll be waiting, they'll take a wait for it.
Wow. So Mr. Seyi is saying that one of the reasons why we tend to pay less attention to home affairs is that we are consumed by the present, and we are forgetting that a time will come when we might not have that present time like we do now. So in summary, he's saying, make the most of every season, make the most of every time you have with your family, and not just even with your children, because another flip side to it is, and I hear that women are guilty of this. So when raising children, the allegation on women is that we pay more attention to the children and we forget our spouse. So so what happens is that when the children are now out of the house, we now look like strangers that have been living together, and it looks odd. So we need to make the most of every season of our lives as a family. Couples together, we need to be more intentional. It's just seeing how people say, can you really find the balance? But Mr. Sheyi said something. He said, if you know it's important, then you will create that time. You will put in the effort to make sure that at least it might not be long, but the quality of that time you have. So he is sounding an advice to us. If we want to build a healthy nation, then we must be intentional with every season of our family life. Thank you very much for that response. So what could you give to my listeners? They are saying, okay, I've heard what he's saying. What are the principles or the values that that can characterize the home that will lead to a better country? So some people that might be listening, maybe they are planning to get married and they are like, okay, I want my family, to be better than maybe the one I grew up in. Maybe they found out that, okay, they didn't like some things in the home they came from. So what are examples or principles or values that one can inculcate personally and even as a family that will help build a better society? What are those principles or values you could share with us?
All right, man. I think one of the values is character formation. And it happens in a home. But as I was trying to prepare, mentally prepare for this, interview, something came to mind. There was one of our prime ministers, because I reside in the United Kingdom. This man was good, he's good at his job. People liked him, but he had to leave his position as the prime minister because of character deformation. His character wasn't good enough, because during COVID, they were told, some laws were were given out in order to protect all of us. But probably him and a few people went against what they said. And at the end of the day, the whole parliament couldn't let that go. So it became a row for quite a long, quite a time. And it wasn't because he wasn't competent as a prime minister. You understand? It wasn't because he wasn't good at what he's doing. So it wasn't anything to do with his job, but he had many things to do with his character. So we can't separate it. As much as we want to fly in life, we need to build character. And home is a place to build character and to build morals. And all of this can be done when the children, when they are still small, instilling these things and having, okay, what are we known for in this house? And before this can happen, even the father or the mother, they must be able to know these things, because we cannot give what we don't have. We may not have been brought up like that, but we need to have learned or to have grown, to know that this is the way out. These are the things that would help, being honest, being diligent, being disciplined, delivering excellence, being hardworking. These are some of the virtues that you learn from home. Because even when they go to school, like I was telling someone, some few days ago that, sometimes our children are even, they have a lot to deal with, because now when they go to school, they learn different things. When they come, try to unlearn what they learned in school because they don't go with the family, values or family, background. They don't go with the family ethos. So it's now like up and down,
They're
up
confused.
and down. And exactly. And with that, we are in the West now. There is so much that is going on that sometimes a child will come home and I'll be like, where is this coming from? He's saying some things that you'll be like, okay, where is this coming from? So you now have to take time to now, okay, pause him there, okay, stop him. This is why sometimes he's even arguing with you. Sometimes he's he knows more than you.
Wow.
Do you understand? And now he's 5. So that shows that there's just a whole lot to do. There's a whole lot that we have, and for him to now realize that because to him he thinks he's right, but he's not patient. And probably because he's seen his friend does that. These are some of the things they tell them in class, in school, and all of that. But when they get home, in order
It's
for
different.
him, it's different. So we must be patient enough, and that's why either the mother or the father has to be able to give time to these children, because we won't get this stage of their life. We will not get it again. Do you understand? Because they are growing. Very soon they will come out of this stage. Whereby, and it is what we instill in them now that goes with them for life. For example, when I was growing up, there was an adage my father normally said that I will never forget. I would say, I'm going to say, in English, he says that when they say this child, keep your eyes and just take care of your eyes, and you say, if anything happens to your eyes, you will be the one to bear the brunt. They won't come and take your father or your mother's eyes to replace with yours. You will take the full brunt of what happens to your eyes. And it's not literary, but what he's saying is that when you're told to to be morally or morally standing, to be of good behavior, of good standing, and you're saying no, if anything happens, you will be the one to bear the brunt. So what this does to me is that whatever I'm doing, I'm not doing it for him. And that's what has helped me to do, because I've not seen him now for for many years ago. So I don't have to be with him because I know that I have something to protect. It's not, I'm not doing it for him because he doesn't even know, but he has done his bit. Then I have to come on, because whatever happens, and what he normally says is that when it's good for you, you would spend so much on yourself before you remember your parents. Helping you to become a great person in life now, it's for your own good, because when you become great, you spend much for yourself and your family before you remember your parents. Understand? So this now makes me to own it, because I know that and now because I have my own family too, so we hardly talk, I hardly relate with them. So but they've done their bits to make me own it and say, you know what, own this thing and run with it. And that is what I think many parents need to do, that we need to inculcate these values into our children, that it becomes part and parcel of them, and they see that they're not doing us a favor by working in them, but they're doing themselves a favor, because when they become great in life,
it's to their own advantage.
To their own advantage, exactly.
Wow. Thank you for this response. Indeed, there is no place like our home. If we get it right at home, we will get it right in the nation. Okay, so thank you so much, Mr. Seyi, for that response. So the next thing I would like you to give us some tips about is, there's a phrase that says, family fulfillment leads to life fulfillment. Family fulfillment leads to life fulfillment. How can you explain this phrase practically, bearing in mind that couples are very busy? I think you've answered it, but how can you give us practical tips that can help couples, because they are the ones that start the family and the home? So how can families and couples know that when the family is fulfilled, there is this overall fulfillment? What are the practical things you can tell couples and those even desiring to marry to know that for them to be fulfilled in life overall, then family life and family fulfillment is very key to making our lives fulfilled. I know you've answered it in a way, talking about, our legacy in our children. But what will you tell couples practically today? How can they redirect, their focus so that they will see that their life fulfillment is in their family fulfillment? Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. So what I would say is that when we get involved in the, in the growth of our children and in the success of our wives, of our spouses, then it gives, life fulfillment. What do I mean? Like for our children now, both parents are involved in, if it's, doable, that both parents are involved in their drop off in school and pick up. It's a build up. Do you understand? And that's when the child knows that you're playing an active role in becoming who I'm going to become in life. And now imagine after you're doing that, you're getting involved, trying to shape the child to become, who the child is. And just imagine on the day of graduation, you are fulfilled because this child is what you prayed for. Because and there's nothing that brings more joy than that, because now you know that your legacy is secured, and you know that what you didn't get right, you're probably able to correct it in the child. And some of this thing is giving the child room to fly. So it will get to a point that we begin to guide our children, we begin to lead them right. But when we see them attain some milestones in life, we are happy and we are fulfilled because we know that, okay, I think I've done my bit. You go on. And that's why you see, and why this happen is, that family fulfillment leads to life fulfillment is some people, when they're successful at work and their family is living, they are not happy. But they're successful. But they've just been promoted. But imagine a man or a spouse that is successful at work. And when he gets home, he has a husband or a wife to celebrate him, to say, yes, thank God you did it. Yes, I told you to do it. I told you you were meant for this. I told you you can conquer this. And he has the children and say, Daddy, well done. You did well. We are proud of you. Imagine that to someone that achieved it on his own, and the husband will be like, well, that's your business. But you did it on your own. You're selfish about it. And now I don't even hear word again. Because, imagine it's the same award. It's the same promotion. It's the same thing. But look at the two instances. Some spouses may feel threatened that now that you have this promotion now, or you have this award, we won't even hear word again. Because now you'll be like, oh, now I'm this and that. You just now be something we don't know or we can't say. So now there's even strife at home. There's no support. They're like, okay, you don't understand. But when family success is there, then we're working together as a team.
Yeah.
Then when one person is down, everybody's down. And when one person needs an intervention, everybody's on their feet. Then it must happen, because they know that a win for one person is a win for us all. And the society knowing this, that's why even when you want to have a society, anything to celebrate in life, they give room for a family member. Think about it. Either your spouse, because they give room for a family member.
Yes.
When you are going through difficult issues in life, there's room for a family member. Even in hospitals, even if wife wants to give birth, they don't say you should go and call your colleague, except house is not there. Do you understand? So they know that the next person to you is your family member. The member of your family. If your spouse is not reachable, then you can probably go to your extended family. But it starts with the family, because these are the people that know, and that's why we live together.
Yeah.
Because they see it true and true. At work, you dress to work. You're all, some people may not know a part of you at work because you probably don't need to show it. But at home, one way or the other, people will get to see who you are. Because at home, one of the definitions of a home is where you're most comfortable.
Yeah.
At home, guards are down.
You're vulnerable.
You're vulnerable. And sometimes that's why we change to our 90s when we get home. Something that will make us free. Because at home, we are meant to be free. So we are not getting all of this at home because some people are still uptight at home. Some people they don't know what to. Some people they're scared when they want to go home. When the day is getting to a close, they are concerned because they're like, oh, so I'm going back to this house again. So that's why we need to get. Many things could have happened. And I'm not saying it's anybody's fault. This, not apportioning blame. But the first step to getting this life fulfillment is owning responsibilities. Is there anything I've not been doing right? Because God created us to be, to be fam. Everybody wants to be loved. Is one of our characteristics of human beings. There's nobody that rejects love. No matter how tough the person seems. Still wants to be loved, still wants to be supported, still wants to be cared for. No matter how hard. And all of this can only be gotten from a home. And that's why a home is different from a house. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be massive. But where there is love in the home, even in a one-bedroom apartment, whole lot can come out of it. Do you understand? So it doesn't have to be something gigantic, something mighty, that until it is mighty. Some people have mighty houses and yet they are lonely. So it's about we first, and I'm not saying that if you can afford it, and it doesn't mean that if you have a gigantic house that you won't be, that love, care, and support is not there. No, our homes are what we make them. The homes does not make us. The houses that we have does not make us. It's what we make of it. And that's our homes is not by location. Many of us, we've moved about 4, 5, 6, 7 times in life. But our home is not in our previous, the previous house we stayed. You understand? Our homes goes with us wherever we go. Because the homes are what we make of it. And it's you and I that makes the home. It's the father, the mother, the husband, the wife, and the children that makes the home. Not the house that makes the home. So when so in order to answer the question, when we see our children do well, when we see our spouses do well, when we see them, when we see them graduate, when we see them marry, and that's why on the day of marriage, when a child is getting married, except the parents are no more, there's a special place for them. They are especially happy. They are not the one getting married, but the joy that exudes from them is like in my lifetime, I can see a seed from me.
The next generation.
Exactly. Transition into something greater. It's something that causes for life fulfillment. And that's why when you see grannies and their grandchildren, grannies, they are not harsh on them. Because some of them, it just reminds them of, this is my report card as a child. So they just smile. And that's why they say granny spoils their grandchildren. So it's they have to make sure that, you hardly see a granny smack the grandchild. Because they are fulfillment to them. They make them feel good. And they want the best for them. No, do you understand? And these are people that, when you are retired, when it's all said and done, this is what you're back to. That is why we need to, whilst we are agile and active now, we need to think about our future in mind. Because whatever we do now is what we'll reap at that time, when we are no longer able to do anything again.
Wow, thank you so much. Okay, so Mr. Seyi, we would like you to take the next few minutes to tell us much about yourself. We know you have a mentorship program also for young men and I think husbands and fathers. So we would like our listeners to connect with you so you could share with us your social media handles, even though I'll put them in the show notes. But we want our listeners to hear from you about your online presence. I know you also host something on Tuesdays on Instagram. So please tell our listeners more about what you do online. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. Yes, my name is Oluwaseyi Akinsola, and I am, a young men's coach. And what I do is to educate, enlighten, and empower young men to become exemplary, influential, and purposeful men, husbands, and fathers in life. And so, one thing that drives me is redefining masculinity, because many of us, many men, many young men, or many men, so to say, have believed in a myth that has affected them so much. And what this has done is that it has, separated them from their core, from all they have been created to do, to do and to become in life. Because, societal pressure has made some people to be strangers to themselves, especially men. Strangers to themselves, because they want to meet up with, a mold, meet up to expectation of a people they never know. And yet they are not able to be themselves. They are not able to, be all that God has created them to be. They are not able to, relate with what God has for them. So they're separated from their core. So all I'm sent to do, all I do is just to empower people, enlighten young men that, some of these things are myths. We can get rid of them and become all that God has, has created us to be and has called us to be, so that we are authentic and we are real men. Because until then, before we can become all, before we can do and become all that God has created us to be. And on Tuesdays, at 7 o'clock, I go out there to encourage people about, it's not over until it's over. Just to make people be their best. Because life would happen to us, but yet there's too much in us that can overcome, because we are overcomers anyway. And so that's what I do on Tuesdays, just to encourage people and just to inspire people that there's more to life and there's more within us, that there's more that God has put within us that can set us off in life and become all that God has created us to be, and so for the first, what I said at the first time, I have a podcast, in order to, as an avenue to let that happen, which is the the Total Man podcast. And I have in master classes that happens, for men, for young men, which is the Young Men Master Class. So we have these once or twice a year. We've had the one for this year in January. So and we're working on a program for young men coming out soon. And again, we have another program for for husbands, for young husbands and fathers, which is Stronger Together, which is just becoming better fathers and better husbands, becoming the best of ourselves in this, because many of us, we get into this without knowing what we are into. We become fathers, we don't know what to do. Many people get married as husbands, they don't know what is expected of them, they don't know what to do, but because they are of age, they just thought, what, this is the next thing for me to do. But when we come together, we feel this thing together and we discuss it together. And people can learn. If a man, learn something right, it affects his decision. And if it affects his decision, it affects his family. If it affects his family, then it affects his children. Because everything rises and falls on leadership. And the man is the leader of the home. Thank you, man.
Wow. Thank you, Mr. Seyi. Like I said, I will put your social media handles. And like he said, he's also a podcast host. I'm sure many of my listeners who tend to be women will want their husbands to listen to Mr. Seyi's platform. So I'll put all the details there. So to round off our discussion for today, which is tagged the role of the home in nation building, we've talked a lot about what the home is supposed to be, how the home is the manufacturing plant, getting intentionally involved in everyone's welfare, reminding ourselves that when we work together as a team in a family and we all win, then it brings true fulfillment to everyone in the family. So what will you say are practical steps? Can you give my listeners practical steps on how to restore our homes so that we can restore our nation? Our nation is crying and in dire need of solution. And these solutions are not just going to drop from above. They are going to come through people that eventually come from homes. What are the practical steps you can give? Reminders, even if everything you have said, my guests didn't remember, as we round off our conversation for this particular time, what will be the practical things that our listeners can do that will have that ripple effect on bringing about a restored nation? What are we going to do to restore our homes? Because our nation really needs to be restored. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, ma. Thank you so much for the question and for the opportunity once again. One of the practical things that we need to do is seek for knowledge and seek to grow, because we cannot give what we don't have. The best we can give is is what we know. So if I don't seek to grow, if I don't seek to improve on myself, then I cannot improve on my family. Then my children cannot get improved on. Then it will affect the nation. So one practical thing is on parenting. Let's seek knowledge on it. Listen to podcasts on parenting. Listen to YouTube videos on parenting. So let's seek for knowledge, because when we grow, then our family will grow. And in this day and age, the knowledge is all around us. There is nothing we are looking for that we won't find. So we even have them in overload. So, but when we seek for them, they are in books. If you don't like to read books, they're in audiobooks. If you don't like to listen to audiobooks, you can watch videos. You can watch, many things. You can listen to them too, even on audibles. And one other thing is you can come and listen to At Home with Ifeno. These are ways, and these are ways that you can, practical ways to restore these things in our home. Because when we know better, we do better. I do tell people that the best gift you can give to anybody is an improved you.
Wow.
That's the best gift I can give to anybody. The best gift I can give to my wife and my children is an improved me. Because when I seek to improve every day, then they get the reward, they get to the result. Because the result of improvement is what happens to them. Because it is when I seek to improve on myself, the mistake I made yesterday, I realize the mistake and I want to correct it. Probably the way I've spoken to my children, I know I'm not supposed to do that. So I go and correct them. So my children don't see that, when the father is wrong, he just goes and say, and because he's the father of the house, he doesn't apologize. No, they see that even though I'm the father, because I now know better, I can call them to say, I'm sorry that I did what I did, or because I didn't have the right information I had then, but now I know better, so I can do better. So one of the best is to know better, is to seek for growth. And another thing again, I think, is if our government if they put a spotlight on family, because when the government doesn't really know the part and the role the family plays in nation building. That's why we don't really get so much about the family. Imagine if the government is sponsoring, a parenting conference, not by individuals, not by companies, but by governments. And just imagine on adverts, you're watching adverts from the government that is promoting, family well-being. Imagine if when there are laws and policies in our places of work, in government, to encourage families, to being together, to encourage, this union. Like now, some times ago, some like 2 years ago, the UK brought in, a policy that if a member of the spouse wants to come into the UK to study, because it's a family thing, the other spouse and the children are allowed to travel with that member of the family. Do you understand? So those are some of the ways of,
encouraging
building the family, encouraging the family, building the unity of the family, and just dignifying the family and the families. So our governments need to do more, put the spotlight on the family, because that's the bedrock of nation building. That's the bedrock of a successful nation and a nation that is not doing well, because every one of us is from a family. And there are many other things that the government can do for families. Government can be working therapies. There could be many things for the government to intercede and mitigate all that is going on in our families. So that alone is even a man that probably they want to a family, but they are not able to afford the cost, or probably for a conference, it could be for a therapy, it could be for but because the government is involved, it's subsidized. So they can get information and become a better family. Because when they're a better family, then their seed and they themselves can add positively to the nation. Because whether it or not, every member of the family is a part of the nation.
Yeah.
So if I'm working somewhere, I'm probably working with a power starter or with a private owned company, I'm still adding to the nation.
Yes.
Adding to the GDP. My children, because the president of each of our countries or our nations today comes from a and if nothing is done well in this, and so that's why our government needs to know the importance of the family in nation building. But most importantly, that we can do something that is in our power, that we can do, is to seek for knowledge. Seek to grow. We should seek to grow, and we should seek to love our families, because a home is where love resides. No matter what is happening, no matter what you and your spouse or you and your family members are going through, please let love lead. Because a home that is void of love cannot achieve much. And I know that a lot could have happened. A lot could, but let's find a ground to make amendments. Let's take responsibility. Because until all of these things happen, we cannot enjoy our home. Our home has a whole lot to offer to us, if we are ready, to give it what it takes. But there's nowhere like the home. And that's why God made it so much that we don't get to choose our parents, and our children don't get to choose. Because it's so important. Because if the children get to choose, because imagine if I choose my parent, I probably do understand, but we have no choice in it. And that's why God apportions it. And if the children that God has given to us, unto you and I, is what we have, then let's do our best to take care of them. I know life would happen. I know we have many siblings are not in talking terms, but please, we get time to unhurt to live. And how long are we going to use, not talking to ourselves, keeping malice and everything, even as siblings, even as, parent to child, not having good relationship? I'm not playing down what could have happened. I'm not playing who's right or wrong. But please, let's make love live, because we have limited time, and there's a whole lot we need to achieve in our homes too. There's a whole lot our homes need to offer to us, so that our world can be a better place. Thank you very much, man.
Wow. Mr. Sheyi, or should I call you Coach Sheyi? Because you mentor people, so you are also a life coach. Well done, sir. Thank you so much for wrapping up today's discussion. One of the highlights you just mentioned is that we need to grow. We need to grow our knowledge. We need to improve on ourselves. That is the way our nation can be improved upon. And when we're talking about government, getting more involved and putting the spotlight on families, the real thing about government is that it is people. We are the government. We, the people, are the government. So it's not spirits that get even into those positions and those offices and hold those titles. So that should also inform us when we need to select leaders, when we need to vote, So we should look out for people that would have the interest of the family at large, because it boils down to family life. we all come from homes, even though the world has, gone haywire in different definition of family, but we don't want to delve into that now. But the truth is that for a broken nation to be restored, we need broken homes to be restored. And you highlighted something just now in closing, that wherever there is hurt, our relationships, even among siblings, among parents and their children, that this is not a blame game time. It's a time to allow love to lead. So we should forgive and move on, because we have limited time here. Yes, we have limited time here on earth. Nobody knows when our time will be up, even though, yes, we desire to stay as long as possible, but let's make sure we are at peace with our loved ones, with our family, so that we can have a better world. Thank you so much, Mr. Seyi. I really appreciate your contribution to At Home with Ifeno. We hope when we call you again, you'll be willing to come back again and again and again. Thank you so much. God bless you, sir.
And thanks for the opportunity. Really appreciate and do not take it for granted. And well done for all you're doing. Contributing your quota to the development of the nation. God bless you, man.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us this week on At Home with Ifeno. Check us out on Instagram at Ifeno17. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. See you next in 2 weeks' time.